Welcome to another exciting episode of Kevjet, the podcast.
Yeah, but very, very few, if not any, now that are actually original members. So that's another flag we're starting to fly.
I'm excited to introduce to you this week's guest, Curnin.
It was like happened so fast in a way that we then started to work out what it was to go on long tours and how to get a good set and how to survive the road. And we did that so well that I think that's what's been the secret.
We discuss the past, the present, and the future of the Fixx, including what it was like to work with Tina Turner.
And Tina came to stay with us while she was working with Rupert and Jamie. And we were like, oh. And she was so down to earth and humble, but she had this kind of like incredible vibration about her. Her peace was immense.
Cy tells me about plans for new music and how excited he is to be hitting the road on tour.
I think there's always plans for new music. Just got my flight case, just got shipped off, and that's going down to Austin. We're rehearsing there for 3 days before we start the show.
He tells me of his favorite songs and his favorite music videos.
And the song itself means so much more. I mean, love beyond a lifetime is a love worth living, a love that you carry in this world and imagine it going on into the next, it giving you that wings that much that it wants to go on into the next world.
I hope you enjoy my conversation with Curnin. Welcome, Curnin, to Kevjet, the podcast.
Hello, Kev. How are you jetting around these days? It's lovely to be here.
It's lovely to see your face.
Nice to see you again, too. Only seen a couple of weeks ago, we were face to face, and now here we are.
Yeah. We were here in London, and now you're back in California. And every time you're here in the studio, you bring the beautiful weather. You went back to California, and it's rained every day.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I always leave a part of me in England. I mean, I'm kind of nostalgic about it when I get back there, but then it's so freaking crowded.
It's very crowded.
Now I've gotten used to this little backwater Santa Cruz that I live in, and it's just about as much as I can handle of people in a day and going around. I know there's never going to be any traffic when I'm going here or there, and the ocean is right there. Even though I'm nostalgic for England some of the time, I kind of like getting back.
Well, you have family here, don't you?
I do. 2 sisters.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different family now because my mum passed away this year. And we're all coming to terms with the fact that she was actually the glue that kept us all together. And so now my relationship with my sisters doesn't entail just talking about mom, because it was always about, you'd never believe what she did, what she said. And she had a certain Scorpio tongue, my mother, that was like intolerable when she was alive. But actually we miss her now because, well, you just kind of, she was the old queen of our family. So now, like, my elder sister goes, shit, I'm next in line. So
you're like, what do we talk about now?
Yeah. Well, hey, that funeral was like, well, let's not talk about funerals for a while, But anyway, it was time for her to pass. She was tired of living. She was like ready to go. So it was all good. So it's been a weird year as far as the family goes. And I've been doing that ancestry.com, which I'm sure a lot of people are doing just because. And we were always told that I was half French, that my mother was French and that my dad was half English, half Irish. But it comes back that my mother had hardly any French blood in her. She was mostly Italian and Spanish. And I'm like, so somebody was lying in the family. Somebody in the past was really like not telling the truth. So now I'm like feeling, that's why I like pasta so much. And that's why I like flamenco music and never felt really at home in France. So it's like, I feel like I've morphed into this new personality.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been good. And then the Irish bit's always been there. So it's just an extra pint of Guinness. I'm enjoying that. So
exactly.
.com is like a really interesting way of kind of knowing who you are internally But then you start scratching on all those little chromosome things, and you could see what you're likely to, genetically lined up for in illness-wise. Like, oh, no, I don't need to know about that. The element of surprise is way better.
Although your mom lived a good old age, didn't she?
Yeah, 98. 98. Yeah. I mean, she almost made the 100, though. Danny's in the band. Danny's mom just passed 100. She made it. So it was like, ding! So he's got great genes, too. So I think we may have a few tours ahead of us still.
I think you do.
Yeah. I mean, looking forward to getting out on the road a lot because, it's been a bit of a cabin fever year in lots of ways. If you end up spending more time talking about what you do than doing what you do, it starts to really become so frustrating. And then it's hard not to feel a little like petulant. My people need me, for God damn it. I need to be out there. And, there's, with all this sort of smell of death in the year, it's like nice to go and do something that has some life to it.
And bring joy to people, because everybody needs that. Yeah,
I know I do. But I'm doing this for me as much as anything else. It's like a healing for me. And I feel like I've been strapped to my freaking apps for so long this year. I need to just get out and see the people actually how they are in the room. Because, I sing to both sides of the room. And everybody remembers the music and the good times before we got into this sandpit fight that we're all in. And nobody really knows shit anymore. They're just arguing for the sake of it. And there you see them all enjoying the music and joining in with some sort of nostalgia. And then we're slipping in some new things with that. It's really healing. And I know it's
healing.
Yeah, it's healing for the audience. And it's also healing for us. The longitude of time is different. It's not like these guys that turn up in the election cycles. They're in and out in 5 years. They get their press cycles. They're like, who's this? He's got, we've been around for like 40 odd years.
Isn't it like 43 years or something?
Yeah. And it starts to have a bit of weight to it. That kind of means something. I know it does.
It's one of my questions, actually. What is there a secret to it? Or what is the secret to longevity?
Well, I don't know. I think it's just patience is love is something that we've always had that as a mantra in the band. When you're dealing with certain members' personalities, all very different, which is what adds to the richness of the music. It's the diversity that we have as a group of 5 that creates this kind of original brew. I don't think anyone's quite like us, or we couldn't be quite like anybody else because of who we are. And we've been through marriages, births, deaths, all this stuff together, sicknesses, health, whatever. The music has always unified us and kept us feeling that we've done something important with our lives, something that we can be proud of, and something that is outside of our own bollocks. It's like, there it is. And I think we can hold on to that, and then we take it out into the world and start playing in front of people, and they can see the fact that there's this group of guys that have been together for so long. Luckily enough, it's still the same guys. That's another big thing.
That's exactly what I was getting at. You guys have been together. You're the same guys the whole time.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Join us each week on the Well Beyond Medicine podcast as we explore the 80% of child health impacts that occur outside the doctor's office. Listen and subscribe at nemourswellbeyond.org, where you'll hear pediatric experts, researchers, and policymakers from around the world discussing ways they are revolutionizing children's health. I'm your host, Carol Vassar. Let's go.
Let's go. Well beyond medicine.
Yeah, very, very few, if not any, now that are actually original members. So that's another flag we're starting to fly.
How did you guys meet?
Adam was dating my sister when I was an adolescent, stroppy adolescent, and I was starting to write songs in a band at school and thought I was jack shit. And my sister invited me to go and see the band that Adam was in at his college. And I went to see them, and I enjoyed the band, but I thought their songs were crap. And I told them, and they were like, "Who's this like, whippersnapper upstart?" And so I think Adam really appreciated my honesty. And so within the coming months, I was invited to join in with their rehearsals just to see if I could add a little something. And Adam and I really connected in a big way, sort of emotionally and just in every way. In fact, I think my sister he should have married me, not my sister, because it feels like we've been married. It's like, but we're like brothers, but it's more than that. And so we were getting more and more serious about the music. It took over our lives. We were rehearsing every day. And as people in the band got probably pissed off with my arrogance, they would leave. And then we would have to advertise in the Melody Maker for new band members. Each time you advertise, you've got to be more serious about what you want to do to attract better people. We got more serious as people joined, and then the quality of our music changed. And so then we met Rupert, who came in after an audition, and he was like, I don't do chords. I was like, well, that's interesting, and I was really sick of playing the piano at that time in the band. I was playing piano, and it was like pain in the ass to lug this thing in and out of gigs. I thought, I just want to stand up and sing, be the last guy on stage and the first guy off. So Rupert came in with all his like wizardry and really added a color to something that we were like, wow. I mean, you can't imagine something until somebody breaks the ceiling and shows you how far they can take it in their world. So Rupert did that. Then Jamie joined. We auditioned for Jamie. And when he joined, we kind of really understood that the sound was really unique, and his technique and talent just took us into another realm. And that's when the band got really serious. And then we had Charlie Barrett, who was with us. He was the last holdout. And then eventually Dan Brown joined for the Reach the Beach album. And then the rest has been history. I think we come from very similar backgrounds, really. I got a clue of it was when Adam would sort of say, oh, your house is very much like my parents' house. And then one night Jamie came to stay at the house when we were rehearsing somewhere and he couldn't get home. He said, oh my God, your house looks just like our house, all the books, the same kind of books, the same feel. Start to realize that we kind of had the same sort of background. Sure. I think that helped. And we were all black sheep of whatever background, whatever families we came from. So that linked us even more. And we had nothing better to do, to be honest. When we started demoing and writing and rehearsing and writing and demoing and, knocking on doors, 100 no's, but you only need one yes.
And your fame came through the States, which is bizarre because you're all from the UK.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way round, actually. It's a much bigger market. So we were lucky that way. We had, I think, a song called Lost Planes really took off in Boston, which was starting to become the seat of alternative music, whatever that meant back then. So they had alternative radio. And so the guys at those stations started playing the crap out of our stuff, Lost Planes and then Stand or Fall, really getting in deep to that Shuttered Room album. I think we sold like 100,000 albums in Boston alone. And then from there, MTV was being born. They were very aware of wanting to be different. And I think the guys that started MTV were aware of what alternative music was doing. And that was more of a national, if you can imagine MTV being across the country, because up to that point, America was regional radio everywhere you went. So you could be big in one part of the country and not another.
Yeah.
TV kind of went through all the genres and just picked a whole style, which is the way that 80s wave really came alive.
And that was the time of music videos as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was huge. Your recognition in the streets was quicker because people are recognizing you from the videos, not just the music. I mean, so that really helped and blasted us all out into the public eye a lot quicker than maybe actually we needed to really learn how to become a really good live band after that. It was like happened so fast in a way that we then started to work out what it was to go on long tours and how to get a good set and how to survive the road. And we did that so well that I think that's what's been the secret of this band staying together. We didn't lose our minds. We kept our egos in check. I mean, I'm the youngest of the band, so I have these 4 other guys are like my older brothers. So anytime I got a bit cocky, it was like, you know.
They put you into place.
Put me into place. So that really helped keep the mood and the things solid. We felt more like we were, it was like a military campaign, because our tour manager at the time saw it completely as a military campaign, like boots by your bunk, right, get there at 9 o'clock, not 9:05. It was, and that's how we got to learn how to tour. And I really appreciate what he did for us in the early days, because we got through a lot of nonsense. And then coming to America, you could see how people were like throwing themselves at us for a few minutes. We just wanted to become a better live band. And I was never really into the whole fame thing. A fortune, I don't mind that. But the fame part was like, I didn't really enjoy coming off stage and being fawned over. I just thought, what's that about? Really, you don't really know me and I don't know you. And we love the music. It's about that. But so I was a bit uncomfortable with that. So I'd like to slip away. I think some people have done it better, and I more power to those people that have been able to take it and really work it. And I think that maybe that also helped the band stay at the level that we could handle. I think had we gotten any bigger, we could have exploded, and our egos would have maybe killed us or something. So we stayed.
You have a strong following called the Fixtures, don't you?
We do.
Yeah, and they're kind of like family, aren't they?
Yeah. We've got these people. I really respect where they're coming from, because they're like the echo of what we put out. The people that it resonates with kind of lets me know, okay, there's like-minded people out there who see the world the way we see the world, who resonate with the music, and that's really important. And it's on a level that's human for us. And I think, somebody once said that, you can get into the main arteries of society and the art world, but you can also get in through the capillaries. And so, there are all the big A towns and the big noisy gigs and the big stadium tours, which we've done, but you can still get your point across through the capillaries, through the B towns, through the smaller theaters, which is where I'm way more comfortable singing in a room where I could see the whites of people's eyes than when it's just like a sea of noise.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Throughout the years, you've written dozens of songs that have been on the Billboard charts, and you've worked with Tina Turner, just to name one person. How did that come about? Yeah. And what was it like?
Tina, God rest her soul. It was enormous. I remember going to a drag racing meet with my friend when I was a young kid, and they had that "Nut Bush City Limit," and I remember that song as being the most. I said, oh, that woman's voice on that is incredible. And Tina was bigger in England than she was in America. So we were in the studio recording the Phantoms record, and Rupert Hine was asked to produce a couple of tracks, and Jamie was asked to write a couple of tracks too for the record. So we broke down our session at the Farmyard Studios where we were recording, and Tina came to stay with us while she was working with Rupert and Jamie. And we were like, oh, and she was so down to earth and humble, but she had this kind of like incredible vibration about her. Her peace was immense, and you could see that it came from a lot of pain, potentially. When people arrive at a certain grace, they've been tempered by something, and you had this sense from her. And I remember having conversations about her, and she was the one who really kind of enlightened me with a lot of her Buddhist simplicities. And I found that beguiling, because I was on my own little journey into that world before. And so so there she was, and they were recording songs, and then we were asked to, I was asked to sing some backup vocals too, because I was there. And that was great because her voice was so powerful. Like, I'm this close to the mic and she's like way back and she's still louder than me. And I just learned, the way she would stand with her legs, and really, so I tried to emulate that, and I could see that it was good for singing posture. And then from there, the songs that we did one of them became a big single, and they wanted to make a video. And I was just packing my suitcase to head off on tour to Australia. It was like in the middle of June. We were due to leave like on the 28th of June or something. And then all of a sudden I get a call, hey, do you want to come to LA to be in Tina's video? Better be good to me. And this was like the 20th of June. And I was like, Christ, you got to get to LA and back and do this. So flew in, did that. And it was Brian Grant, the guy that had directed Saved by Zero video for us and Secret Separation. He was doing her video. So he invited Jamie and I to go and join in the video. And he was just like, okay, just do your thing. And I was like, do my thing, like, what's my thing? And I was like, they had a choreographer called Tony Basil that was there. She was like, okay, honey, I want you to do. And I said, listen, I'm just going to do what I do because I don't remember what I did 5 minutes ago. Remembering dance steps is not one of my things. So I just did my animation of what I thought the bad boyfriend should be in the song. And I stupidly decided to do it barefoot. And after 18 hours of this shoot, my feet were raw. Like, I was like, and I was begging for some cocaine backstage off the guys. They were like, yeah, sure. And I was like, oh, just rubbing it on my feet. They were like, that's a waste. I thought you were going to, do something else. And I was like, no, I just need it on my feet. Thank you. So they wasted their cocaine on my feet. And then we flew back and literally turned around. And I was back at the airport within 24 hours to go off to Australia. And it was just like a blur. But that's the way things were back then. Super fast, and carbon footprint. My God, it was terrible. But we didn't think about that. And
No.
I don't think I could do that anymore. But
Yes.
bless her, she was phenomenal. And it really introduced Jamie and I and the Fixx into another world. Jamie went on tour with her for 6 months, and that was a big tour. So Jamie carried the name of the Fixx in with that world and sort of brought us up into in front of a different audience yet again. I don't think we ever quite knew what our audience was supposed to be. We just thought everybody could potentially end up liking the Fixx, because we've had some very heavy rock songs and we've had some pretty intricate dancey pop songs, and then we've had some emotional soft ballads, and we've had, we don't really set ourselves by a rule. And I think with Tina's thing, that gave us just another little glint.
Yeah, sure. So you're going out on tour. That's about to start in a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, just got my flight case, just got shipped off, and that's going down to Austin. We're rehearsing there for 3 days before we start the show at Mohawks that's the first date, November 3rd. And then we head off Dallas, New Orleans, Florida, up the East Coast. And I think we end up in New York somewhere on the 2nd of December.
And then you have a very exciting gig in London.
Yeah, it's been ages since we played there. I don't think we've played since 2006. So really looking forward to us reconnecting with the Fixx fans in England.
I know there's a big buzz online.
Yeah,
people are very excited about it.
Yeah, we never really gave it the time. At the time where we could have made a dent in England, we were taking off in America, and it was like we couldn't be in two places at once, and we didn't quite work it well. We weren't smart enough. The one time where we could have been on top of the pops, we kind of didn't make it in time. So the guy, we were at 42, and the guy called the office and said, can they be on top of the pops next Thursday or whenever they filmed it, next Tuesday? And somebody at the office says, oh no, they're away in America, they won't be back until 2. And so we missed that opportunity. They were like, well, fuck them, invitation to. And I actually met the guy many moons later, who's the guy who said, I thought I was a bit taken aback that you turned down an opportunity to go on top of the pops because we had a show in America, and I was like, stupid. But I mean, a lot of the decisions we've made and where we are now become from happy accidents,
Of course. Do you think that after you play this London gig, you'll start adding more UK dates?
Yeah, I think the idea behind this is to show this new agent that we have that there is a human story to what we are about. And over the years, we've collected a big body of fans, and the work has been out there long enough for people to discover. So I think there's at least another half a dozen shows that we could probably put together after this, and then maybe spin off into Europe a little bit. I mean, I know I would love it. The guys in the band would love it. We've toured so much in America. Not that that's not a great thing. We love that. But Europe has always sort of been our second visit. I would rather it be our main feature of one year or another.
Yeah, that'd be exciting.
Looking back, some of the words that we've managed to put out there have resonated with people in such a way that it makes me realize there was always part of me that was a prisoner of this world too, and these words were like messages in bottles, words of help, because I'm only really writing from my own perspective all the time.
And you must hear people after a gig say, oh my gosh, it was this song that got me through this, or this song means this to me.
Yeah. And then I kind of think, well, thank you. And I realized it got me through things too. Those were expressions of times where it was hard for me, or just growing and seeing things differently and resisting the imprints or searching for more. Because I often ask myself, things I believe in or think I believe in, how do they get in my head? Was I just born with all this information? Was it just like a chip? And then you start to realize that, it's your comfort zones around in order to survive the imprints. You're born in a family, and your family thinks a certain way. Why do they think a certain way? They just do because of the way they do, because of what happened to them. So you pick up on things. And in order to find acceptance in that close community, you start to have conversations with them about how they feel and think. And you have to agree with them because you don't want to keep disagreeing. So next thing you know, you're building everything on this kind of platform. And then you get to a point where you go, God, how did all this get in my head? So there are various crises that you face throughout your life, like shunning your religion, for example. For me, was not so much shunning it, but realizing how prison-like some of the indoctrinations I had as a kid. And so getting rid of that. So you put that out in a lyric. And so there's a lot of people feeling that too. And they're like, oh, that's a really interesting way to look at it. Thank you. That's really given me a way of finding my voice. And then there are other things. So it was in my journey. And then here I go, scribbling it out. And then out it goes. And looking at the world, the way it's sort of unfolding before our eyes. There's the way the system wants you to see it. And then there's the way you question it. And so we had the ability to put that out there too. We're kind of like happy dissenters. I don't think I really agree or disagree with, because I don't really know. I can't say I agree or disagree, but I have feelings and I have opinions. But then that gets dangerous because we're in a world where only opinions are in existence. And we forget, if someone came up to me and said, hey, mate, from now on, the sky's green. I said, well, it was blue yesterday. Yeah, but today it's green. Okay, thank you. And then you start walking off. Look at the green sky. That's how it happens.
Definitely.
It's so stupid that, I have to really be careful on how I choose my words these days, because I do suffer fools badly. And it can set me off on a rant that I realize other people are on other journeys. And so you have to be very caring, and you have to find the healing, and you have to agree to disagree, and you have to understand why they've been that way. And you realize they've come from a family and on a journey. So it's all about their journey too. And so you can't disrespect that.
That's right. I find that even within my friendship group, we all have strong opinions about things, but you just have to we all love each other and we're friends, and you just have to leave it at that.
Yeah, you do.
Because discussions can get pretty heated, and you just have to be like, okay, you know what? I love you. I respect you. I respect that's your opinion. It's not what I think, but let's move on and keep loving each other. So
Right. Right. I mean, and then the time alone you have when you walk away, it kind of like plays back in your head, and then you start to unwind the words that were said, and maybe try and find another day where you can we bring that topic back up? Now, I
yeah,
think we're at a very interesting point right now where everyone's talking about the death of democracy and the rebirth of autocracies, but we've always been like mini fascists in our minds with ourselves. That's what willpower is. Willpower is very like, you have to be quite strong with yourself, and if you can't just let yourself fall apart. But as soon as you start to put that into society, you can't tell everyone what to do or how to think.
and it's crazy with social media these days, because people can be keyboard warriors, or people are trying to express their opinions and their beliefs, but if someone's opposing those thoughts or beliefs, it starts a social media war. And so people are finding it so stressful. Like, there's just a lot of stress in this world right now, and social media is definitely something that just ignites everything even worse, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying a couple of tours ago, I had a thing about the acronym, in my humble opinion, basically the acronym for that. And I say, what was humble about half of these opinions you hear? They're being shouted at you. There's nothing humble about this opinion. You know, what people put at the end, IMAHO, whatever.
yeah.
Oh, we have to find the love, and that's what a Fixx tour is about.
Not only are you the singer in the Fixx, but you have your own solo career as well. So do you have anything planned in the future for your solo career?
I would like to really get out and spend more time on the road too, because I love to make music in the studio, but it is time away from people, and there's a safety net of like capturing things, redoing it, honing it. I like that. But I think I'm ready now to just go out and reveal a side of myself where I remove the safety net and just express myself on a piano or a guitar in the moment. And so I want to do like a solo tour that's very, very simple, away from the floodlight and more of a candlelight.
Sure.
There are a lot of great little piano rooms that have been opening up. And I think sometimes people want to come and see a show where there's 50, 100, 150 people. It's very intimate. That's what I love. I got a clue for it when during the lockdown thing, I did a couple of Facebook streams where I just threw myself into it, kind of rehearsed a couple of songs. And then I was singing into a void. There was no one in the room except me and the camera. But then it kicked in. That out there through the void with all these people listening. I wasn't looking at the scrolls, but I just imagined this thing, and off I went to this place, and it really lifted me up, and I really felt this energy that was just as powerful as when I'm on stage in the band. And I thought I really want to revisit this kind of expression in between what the Fixx does beautifully. That's my day job. I would like to do a lot more of that. So that's something to look forward to. I might make another record. I've been working a lot with Facebook, putting together a song collection. There's a lot of songs that you can find when people do their reels on Instagram. If they pick my name, they could see a load of songs. And it's just incredible the amount of numbers that hits. I mean, there's one song I did that's been visited or clicked on 780 million times. I can't wrap my brain around that number. And so these things in the multi-millions of clicks. And it's just like, well, they could never get a song like that out in the conventional world. So I just have to revisit and pick up out of those people that are exposed to those little snippets. They're kind of swimming upstream and finding my site and joining and linking and looking for more. So there's a kind of a growing market that I have. I'd say fan base, I should say.
Sure, that's exciting. You have to find the modern way, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You just got to, in the end, it's not really about the the amount of money you bring in from it. It's more about the how many pings you can get out into the universe to just connect that experience. I mean, yeah, you do need money. So I don't want to naively say it's not about the money, man, but it's, in the end, that is way bigger than any financial remuneration. It's just the idea of being able to make a noise that's connected to what I think is a healing noise from the universe that comes through me. I don't feel that I'm actually I'm just a aerial or a messenger. That's the best I can be. So if I stay clean, these messages come through. If I let my own ego get in the way, it snaps up, and I'm just an orphan to the universe, and I've got no backup.
What about new music for the Fixx? Are there any plans for new music with the band?
Yeah, I think there's always plans for new music. I think that Jamie's arriving at a point where he's so rich in tonics and melodies and guitar that I really need to raid his closet for some songs. Best of the Fixx is when he and I find the best in each other, and then we get a little flame going and we blow it, and then Rupert starts to add his kind of like, whoa, his cinematography to it, and then Adam and Dan come up and pick out the sort of pulse of it. That's the best of the Fixx. There's some really big songs brewing within our ranks.
There's a Christmas single, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a Christmas song coming out. It's called It's Winter's Time. That'll be out. The way we're doing it is it should come out just before Christmas for people to get to know and hear. And then next year, when we do a Christmas tour, hopefully people in the audience can know it rather than us surprising them with it. It's one of those songs, when you sing a Christmas song, you want everyone to know it so they can join in, not like, what's he saying? So we're just letting it out this year, and then we'll pick it back round next year. I think also, we've spent the last 15 years and we've put out 2 albums. Okay, so of those 2 albums, for us, there's 20 really good songs on there, but we're kind of known for maybe 4 or 5 of those songs are the ones that were the leaders that people know about. So I think moving on, what we'd like to do is to just record individual songs and release them every couple of months. Then that way we're always out and about in the public eye, and people are listening. And it's the same as if you have an album out, only it's just a constant feed.
That's right.
And it's less of a mountain to climb for us, because organizing massive record sessions to record an album it's a lot of time. And it's not that we don't have the time, it's just we'd rather spend that time being on the road and living a life that gives us the inspiration to write the odd jewel of a song. And I know I've got a couple of songs that I've played Adam ideas for songs that he's like, oh, that's the one, let's do that one. And there's another one. So, and I've heard a couple of things from Jamie that I'm like, I can't wait to get into his box of tricks.
Sure.
Yeah. And Rupert too is like, everyone seems to be arriving at a kind of a defining period. I think that's the wisdom and the maturity and gratitude against this legacy that we have. We're kind of like, ooh, it's like the day job that kind of just has become more than just a day job. It's like a life job.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Fixx have 10 studio albums. Do you have a favorite?
That's like asking me if I have a favorite child.
I know, that's why I ask.
Yeah, I do. Shuttered Room. That's the very first one. I love because of the experience of what we were before that album and the life we lived, and the kind of, not desperation, but the intention and the kind of never taking no as an answer, and the amount of work we put into that and the experience of that, recording that record. Phenomenal. And the way it kind of took off. It's that kind of thing only happens once in your life, and to expect it to happen again is the feeling anyway. I mean, it wasn't an enormous size, but it was just the feeling of it. There's that one. But then Reach the Beach was such an explosive album. Most people think the second album is the Jinx record. Well, we came out completely different sound, and we blew people's conceptions of what the first one was. We changed it. The rock radio had adopted us in the States because of our first record. And then when we came out with the second record, pop radio adopted us. And all the time, alternative radio was playing us because they were like, the needle was swinging both ways for them. And then Phantoms came out, and we were learning how to become a live album, and it was a much darker experience. And then we went on through that. And then we kind of hit a period of like babies being born, marriages, in my case, marriages and divorces. It's like kind of in and out, shake it all about. I was probably just too distracted. And my muse kept kicking me up the arse she kept throwing tantrums every time I would try and settle down. Just wouldn't have it. And you have to find the right person who can understand that. And luckily I've managed to find Tisha, who's like completely healed my broken hooves and sorted me right out, which led us to have the last two albums of our career have been the ones that are the most honest. And I think I'm very happy that the fans that stayed with us after the big hoo-ha and those that kind of drifted off, the ones who stayed with us really appreciate those two records in the way that we do. The amount of work we put into Beautiful Friction was like from another place in our experience, and we really put in some sounds, and the messages that were coming through were kind of like much more mature in a way. Not so angry. So now that when you are angry, it's like not vicious. It's more like ironic. I like anger when it's ironic, and you're pointing the finger that it's actually this
coming right back at you. Yeah.
It's an inclusive anger. It's like, oh, fuck me. And then when there's beauty in the records, it's like kind of like, it's a wiser, more inclusive I think there's a humility to the records, the last two records, that I enjoy, rather than sort of slightly younger and strident, maybe.
What are a couple of your favorite tracks that you never tire of?
Beautiful Friction, the title record, and Saved by Zero, funny enough, because that song says it all about everything in that moment. It just brings the audience. I mean, that's the stage door song. That's the song that people have said the most affected them. It's the song that affected me the most. Jeff Dukes, our manager in 1982, took me to see the Dalai Lama at the British Commonwealth Institute to just see him talk. And I saw I felt he was emanating a light, because I was starting to search in his teachings. And then I went back and wrote the lyrics, Saved by Zero, because he spoke about, happiness comes from letting go and emptying out and feeling the nothingness. And I'd finished reading another book called The Experience of Nothingness. So out came the lyric, Saved by Zero. And then a few years ago, I think it was 2014, the Dalai Lama turned 80, and he was having an 80th birthday party down at Irvine, the university. And I was invited to go and sing that song for him.
Wow.
At the celebration. So that song wrapped the whole meaning of it. It's like, there he was at the very beginning.
Full circle.
And there he is at the end, full circle. And I kind of stayed true to that one sentiment. And, I think that's the epitaph right there. That's the one that's going to see me out.
What are the biggest challenges in the music industry today?
Thinking that there is an industry, because it's so different. I don't think we would make it now. I don't think we would understand how to prostitute ourselves in a way that you really have to. I mean, I respect the size of the audience. God bless you two for having done it all. They were there. We were there with them, sharing beers at the Marquee Club in 1980, opening for each other. One week they opened for us. The next week we opened for them. And they went on and did it. And God bless them for the journey that they've done. But even Bono says that he doesn't think they would be who they are in today's market if they were starting off. I don't understand it. I can't really talk about it other than I know what's going on. I think that will I hear the songs that I'm hearing today in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? Like one thing leads to another, and Saved by Zero get almost as much airplay today on Sirius Radio than they did back then. Okay, there's a lot more outlets and it gets used and diffused in a lot of different ways, commercials and films and movies or whatever. But I wonder whether I don't even know who's singing half of these songs. They all sound the same.
So true.
They're all like copying a certain and the phrasing is like, you know, I don't quite understand it's emoting over emotion. You know, Taylor Swift, I can understand that she's brought the angst of adolescent girls or the angst of in a world where she's telling the story of like, you know, you broke my heart and you're going to pay for it kind of thing, or I'm a strong survivor. That, okay, great. But it seems like every song she does is that.
It's true. And how do you feel about, she's a perfect example to ask this question about, how do you feel about ticket prices?
Ridiculous. I mean, it just seems to be that after lockdown, people were so like crazy to get out of the house. They wanted, and the irony being is people want to buy experiences in a time where there's inflation. I think it's part of the reasons for inflation. And then they've got up, so many people are gouging. I think Ticketmaster's gouging. Live Nation is gouging. The insurance costs, the insurers are gouging. Everyone is gouging just because, hey, let's just add another zero on the end of that. No one will notice. You know,
and because they can, people are paying those prices, and it just blows my mind.
Yeah, but when you really think about it, you know, if you had $100 40 years ago, it was worth $300 because of if every year it goes up by 4%, which is what inflation they say was. So you add 4%. So in 10 years, it's 40%. In 20 years, it's 80%. So in 40 years, it's 160%. So if you add 160% of that, you've added up, it's 360. So what cost $100 then is now 360. It's just more numbers. So the numbers are going up, and we're still comparing. Like if you say, "Oh, I wish I was a millionaire," well, a millionaire doesn't quite cut it. You've got to be a billionaire these days if you want to have that buying power.
Definitely.
And so it's a whole weird world that we're living in. But the bottom line is the real wages have been going down. They haven't really gone up, which is why we're starting to see union-led strikes. And more power to the people. You know, that's the backbone of, I know, in any culture, it's the people manufacturing the things that make the profit. You know, I feel that GDP, what the hell is that? Why do we always have to have a bigger GDP every year? We're all working for this GDP. And if we're ending up feeling a harder graft and a harder grind out of life, who's this GDP for? And so there is a concept going out. I think if you Google it, it's called degrowth. You'll see that 4 or 5 of the world's biggest economists see a sustainable way of pay people more, have them work less. They'll become more productive. They'll enjoy life a little more. It's sustainable. There won't be so much pollution and landfill because we're not producing as much. It's just changing the game. You know, hey, instead of Monopoly, let's play Cluedo or something. You know,
Yeah.
So we really respect this kind of new thinking. I've been reading it a lot, and I think, you know, America though was so based on this post-war grow, and it did. It grew. And it grew and it grew and it grew. But the bread's coming out of the oven now and it's like expanding into the kitchen. There's no room to live anymore. You know, it's just ridiculous. There's a giant loaf and 2 people are sharing it.
Yep. Who's your biggest hero?
I would say David Bowie is my artistic hero. Yeah, I think we all lost a jewel when he passed on, but the work he left us is enough for 10 lifetimes. Beautiful. I think that Winston Churchill was probably the last great politician, one of my heroes. We could do with him right now, even though in looking back, he did write some right clunkers. He made some real mistakes, which we're paying for right today on the front pages. But he was a genius of a man who understood politics. Yeah.
What is your biggest fear?
Fear itself. Really, I mean, it is a cliche, but my biggest fear is that people will see that fear is it's just an anxiety, it's a disease. And people are becoming more anxious because they think they're supposed to be something that they're not. They're forgetting how to actually live, and they're just surviving. And then it becomes fight or flight. And the more fight or flight there is, the more you stress. The more you stress, more anxiety do you have, more sugar you eat, and then it's a monster that's around us all. And then people start firing into the dark because they think they saw something. When what really needs to be seen is you need to see yourself as being a loving, caring, and spread that first, and the fear will kind of fall away. But it's an epidemic right now, fear. Yeah.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
What was that? What's your favorite venue to play?
Favorite venue? That's an interesting one. I love the Delray Theatre. I like those theaters in LA because they're these old 50s rooms that haven't really changed. They've got the same theater, and the acoustics are awesome. And the audiences are so normally, in LA, everybody says, oh, they're blind, they're spoiled for choice. But when you get a good LA audience, they really kick it up a notch. And when you're a star in LA, darling,
the sky's the limit.
Yeah, they don't forget you there. You could be forgotten everywhere, but they love you.
Do you have a strict routine when you're on tour now?
Yeah, a lot of sleep. Golden hour after singing is after 2 hours on stage is shut up for an hour, don't talk. No alcohol, just sit quietly for an hour and then have a drink. I like to sleep for about 12, 14 hours. And with the bus moving, there's bus moving sleep and then there's bus stop sleep. So you get two kinds of sleep, and then I'll sleep till about 1 p.m. and then get up, have a light breakfast, mill around, a little walk, get some air, then sound check, dinner, then back to my bunk for more napping till about 2 hours before the show, wake up. So it's a lot of lying down, actually, is my routine, and watching movies and not talking too much, and then really putting it out there for the show.
If you could reshoot a music video, which one would it be and why?
Secret Separation. Had too much makeup on. too many whirring concepts in one collection of images for the song. And the song itself means so much more that I would do it in a much humbler way. I mean, love beyond a lifetime is a love worth living, a love that you carry in this world and imagine it going on into the next, it giving you that wings that much that it wants to go on into the next world. That's how I would take it. But I didn't write the lyrics. See, Jeanette Opstoy wrote that lyric. And at the time I was like more focused on my song, on the vocal delivery and the crafting of the song. But I really see how that song has connected in a huge way with the audience. I mean, couples. It's weird that a very popular wedding song from the Fixx is called Secret Separation.
Of course.
But it's basically saying, I'll love you to death and beyond. And I think that needs to be, people need to sort of be inspired to find a love that will live that long. And if it doesn't inspire you, you should say, what are you doing wrong that that love isn't making you feel that? It's not a sacrifice, it's a ritual. It's you have to put in and work your ass off for it to respond. And I think that song kind of reminds me of that journey, and many times I've fallen down and taken it for granted, or just missed the point of something and my own ego's ruined it. But the real love is to see someone looking at you, loving you for your faults, loving you for your weaknesses, loving you and then starting from there. And I think the video could reflect some of that in a simple way, maybe.
It's a great message to put out to the world, definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
So everyone should go out and download that song right now.
They should. It's the best song we ever did, and I didn't want it.
Thank you very much, Cy Curnin. It was lovely to chat with you.
Thank you, sweet Kevin.
And I'll see you soon. I'll see you in London.
Oh, yeah.
Just over a month.
I can't wait to see what you're wearing.
Well, I'm sure it'll be special. It'll be just for you.
I know you're going to upstage me. It'll be great. I'll see if I can bring some, if it's not warm weather, at least it'll be sunny.
Yeah, bring some sun.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Thanks a lot, Cy.
Thank you, my love.